Preparing to live stream. Okay, so it shows we're live streaming. I'm just putting Judy through. So by all means, folks, have a good meeting. I'm just going to turn my camera off, but I'm here if you need me, okay?
All right. Thank you, Brandy.
Nope.
All right. Oh, and there is Judy, too. Terrific. All right. Well, we'll call this meeting to order. Thank you, everybody, for coming and welcome. We have a fairly short agenda, so we can expand on any of the items as you wish. We have some time. On the other hand, we might be finished early. And the very first item is on the business licensing for the absentee landlords. I don't have anything really to report on that. Council directed that the bylaw be ready to be put into effect in the beginning of the year. I'm sure that there is some City Hall employee, staff member that is hard at work working on this bylaw, but I don't know where they are with that or who's doing it. So I really don't have much to report. I would imagine that by September we will have some sort of draft, but by this time we don't have it yet. Any questions or comments on the absentee landlord item? All right. Well, then we'll just move on. Brian or Todd, do you have any updates that you want to share with us?
Sure, Claire. I can give a couple quick updates. Not a lot really to report other than we will continue through the summer and fall semester to be primarily remote delivery. Although we are looking for the fall semester at starting to bring a few more services back onto campus to support those students who are there. But we'll continue with, it'll be about 70% of our students will have remote delivery for the fall semester. And that's really it for me, unless Todd has something he wants to add.
There's really been no changes from a security side, so I don't have any update more so than the last meeting.
Yeah, it's a pretty quiet campus these days, eh? Any questions, comments, thoughts for Brian or Todd? All right. I suppose that orientation for the fall semester is going to be all remote, or are you doing anything?
Yeah, that's correct. It will be a virtual orientation again. So there'll be virtual, what we call Head Start program, which happens prior to the start of the semester. And then the actual orientation will be virtual. What we could do for the next meeting or whatever meeting you want, we could invite Shauna and Asia, who lead our orientation and Head Start programming, and they could give an update on it if that would be helpful, and could also then make connections with anyone you'd like at the city who would like to be involved in it.
Okay. Our next meeting is September the 22nd.
Okay.
So that may not work, but that doesn't mean we can't do that sort of using electrons between now and then. Is that a possibility, Brian?
Absolutely. I can make, who would be the best to connect to from the city? Do you want me to have Shauna and Asia connect directly with you, or is there a particular person would be the best?
Yeah, Carrie.
Barry Fire would love to do some education pieces on home safety for students and for maybe virtual evacuation drill or something.
Yeah,
With Asia and up with something for your Head Start and, check your smoke alarms in your new house, and all that stuff.
Yeah,
I think-
that would be great, especially given the, yeah, that'd be great. I can get them to connect with you. I can pass on your info, Carrie.
Very good.
Okay, and I think I saw Judy indicate she'd be interested as well. No? Did okay, I'm reading body language here. So if you could connect Judy in with that as well, I think that would be a good start. And you can CC me, and if something comes up, then I can do that. What about
And we would definitely have, I know Shauna always connects with Brent and Ty around transit services. So
okay.
even though we're remote and the UPass is suspended right now, we'll still make that connection. And maybe what I'll do is I'll have them, as they get the timeline and the workshops, etc., pulled together a little more. I can send that through to you, Claire, that you could share with the whole Town and Gown committee, and then folks will have a general idea of it, and we can fill in some slots with city folks.
Okay, all right, that's a good idea. All right, Judy.
I have a question for Brian. Last meeting, and then also, I think I was a little confused what you said just now about inviting Sean and Aisha to present to this committee, or why did
yes, sorry.
What you brought it up?
Yeah, I was going to invite them to do a presentation for Town and Gown around what would be going on. I was thinking we still had one more meeting, not realizing this was the last one for the summer break.
Yeah. On the other hand, having them come in for our September meetings might still be a good idea, just to have the connections, and also, I mean, it never hurts to do a little advanced planning for your January intake.
Yeah, absolutely. We can do that. And that way we can also get some feedback if anyone has any thoughts on it. Those who will participate in it, we're always looking for the feedback then to continue to improve those programs.
Okay, all right. So let's Brandy, if you could just make a note to invite them or have them at our meeting for September.
Absolutely. So I'll reach out definitely some weeks before the meeting to basically kind of square up the next agenda items with you. And so, yeah, I'll definitely ask for any and all contacts that you want me to send information out to get them into the meeting. Okay.
Yeah, and maybe Brian can connect them directly to you, and that'll
absolutely
set it up.
Yep, absolutely. I'll keep their information and definitely put it in my calendar to make sure that they get an invite and a link.
Okay.
Thanks, Brandy. I'll send you that this afternoon.
Yeah, no, sounds great. Sounds great. Thank you.
All right. Any comments from Biha, Ryan, or Rob?
I've already got Asia's contact information, so I'll definitely be reaching out to her before September. One other thought, though, that I was just thinking, along with the orientation people, maybe putting out an invite to Kenta if he's still involved with the off-campus living. Because I'd also be interested, not only from the college's point of view about how orientation goes, but maybe if we can get some first-year kids who maybe orientation is good for them, bad for them, but at least we get some more outside thought on as well, which could also help everybody, especially going forward for January and forward.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's invite Kenta too. That makes good sense.
Yeah, Kenta actually has moved into a different role. So what we have done is one of my staff who's been dealing with housing on all the other campuses is now taking on college-wide housing. So his name is Mike Zucchino, and I'll share that contact info and we can certainly invite him going forward.
Okay. That's useful. Thanks, Ryan. Okay, any more comments or thoughts on the Georgian College update? No. Okay, we have a couple of people from the city here. So why don't we start with Jeff? Anything from your side, Jeff?
Thanks, Claire. No, just some updates. Our speed cushions, our temporary speed cushions, have all been installed in Ward 1, and they'll be continuing on along this around the city with everything installed by the end of tomorrow. We're working with our engineering group on our permanent traffic calming measure on Codrington Street, which hopefully will be installed in Q4 between, I think it was Weldon and Vancouver, I believe, in around there near the park, Nelson Park. So 2 crossings there with concrete speed cushions. And lastly, we have our speed boards up. Codrington Street's reporting to have an average speed of around 42 kilometers an hour, which is really nice to see, and an 85th percentile speed of 52. So that's really good. It's right where we want to see it. Unfortunately, the one on Blake Street is functioning to the public and visual, but it's not recording data for us. So these things are definitely finicky, and we've reached out again to our supplier to kind of figure out what's going on there. That's about it really for Ward 1. Just we've been busy, and we do have an always stop actually. We're investigating on Indian Arrow and Penetang. So staff are in the midst of collecting data. I believe we've already completed the resident survey. They're going to be on site today looking at sight lines, and then we'll be looking to analyze the data. I don't believe it's warranted right now. I think my technologist was saying we're going to be reporting back in a memo, but I haven't officially seen the data. So
okay.
I think that's all I have for now.
Okay. Anybody got any questions for Jeff? All right. Well, I have some, but I'll save them for another time. Carrie.
Our Barrie Fire staff are anticipating starting up our door-to-door fire safety campaign again in September. We had to put that on ice when it was not safe to go out and about, but we're hoping that by September it will be a modified version will be able to be safely accomplished. So you will see our fire crews out and about in that time period of September through probably end of October, and our goal is 10,000 houses to knock on the doors, make sure the fire alarms are working, and provide some information. And, other than that, we're in emergency response mode, doing well. We're happy to report that we got to deliver a baby yesterday. We very rarely get to go to those activities exactly. We're usually at the end of life and not the start of life, so it was a big thing for our crews yesterday to be able to be there for that moment.
All right. Well, was that baby in Ward 1 or not?
Just around the corner from Station 1 here, so I don't think.
Okay.
I don't think so. It's a lucky location that we were there on time.
Handy, very handy to live right beside the fire station. All right. Judy, did you want to? Any questions for Carrie? All right. Judy, did you want to add anything from the library's perspective, or are you good?
I don't think we need to add anything from last month. We're in stage 2. So constant calls, when can we come in? And we're just eagerly waiting for that. So
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, everybody get your vaccinations and let's get rolling here. All right. Anybody else got anything that you want to share or talk about? Any questions? Jake.
I was wondering, because I know we've talked about it in the past, about getting a student actually on this committee. And when I was looking at the terms of reference, I noticed that under the composition, it says 2 representatives from Georgian College, one of which may be a student. but I'm wondering how easy that is to actually make that an obligation to have a student instead of a temporary kind of ask.
Yeah. Well, I guess the two answers to that, I suppose. One of them is we could ask council to amend the composition of the committee to include a student. That would be one way. I guess the other way is for the college to say, well, you know, one of the representatives will be a staff member and one of them will be a student. Either way works. Any thoughts on? Do you think it would be important to just, you know, make it a student period? We could easily make that recommendation and add that to council's agenda one night, and they could probably do that pretty quickly.
Yeah, I would think when I'm thinking of the student timeline, right? I never think of first year students because I think first year students always have a lot of stuff going on. Their heads are in the clouds. And most programs at the college are typically 2 years. So I think it would be interesting to kind of have like a year over year. So because I think the term for this committee is 2 or 3 years. And that's not something that I know of for. Yeah, see, my bad. Clearly I do a lot of reading. But yeah, so I think, you know, if we were to kind of say each year we could have an elected, you know, students who are interested kind of apply and still kind of go through that process. It would have to be on a year-to-year basis from my perspective anyways. And I'm open to conversations to hear from other committee members to see what their thoughts would be on that as well.
Sure. All right. Any other committee members want to make a comment on that?
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I think so too. The challenge is going to be, like you say, the sort of the year over year rollover. But you know what? Unless we try it, you know, it's not going to happen. So I will add that to my job jar. I will ask council to amend the terms of reference, if you will, for this committee, or the membership for this committee to include a student. And our term is the same as the council term, so it's for 4 years. I think I would just make a note that somehow that student would be a second-year student and would be sort of provided by the college. I don't know, Brian, would it be something that the college could just ask the student council for and say, you know, can we have a rep for this year?
Yes, that's easy enough to do, Claire. We've done that in the past and occasionally had one of the GCSA members participate. So it's just really a matter of we need to formalize it with GCSA that it would be one of the standing committees they would participate in. And then that way, I mean, the members are typically second year or above. So they'd easily be able to do a year, or they could pull from one of their directors, would probably be the easiest way of doing it. So I can go back and talk to Shauna about it for the best way to get a rep.
All right, so that's a great suggestion then, Jake. I think let's move forward with that, and it sounds like we could accommodate it. I think if I'm not mistaken, it may have been 3 or 4 or 5 years ago that there was we did have a student rep, and it just never worked out for that person. So, but that may just have been having not the right process or get the right person on. So.
Could I just add on to that too?
Yeah, sure.
I don't want to be the stick in the mud, but if I'm thinking, and Brian can provide some background to this too. When I'm thinking of students that apply to be on GCSA, sometimes there's a lot of interest, and there's a lot of students that want to apply for the leadership position that don't necessarily get that chance as well. So if we're asking a GCSA representative to do that, we're already asking a student that's in a leadership capacity who's been given that opportunity. But we know that there's a lot of other students that would still really like to participate in leadership opportunities that might not necessarily get that chance as well. So, and I don't know if it's best to ask that. I mean, it's a great idea, and I love the idea, because when you build it into a GCSA role, you know that it's something that's going to be continuous, right? But then at the same time, are we taking that opportunity away from another student that would be just as deserving and warranted?
Want to comment on that, Brian?
Yeah, it's certainly a good point, and that's where I was thinking about the directors who aren't as involved. The difficulty we've had in the past is having the commitment from the students, and that's where we tend to get a little higher commitment if they are involved in GCSA and it's part of their role, part of their evaluation. So there's certainly pros and cons to both, and can have that discussion with Shauna and get her input into it. She's closest with the students, and may, they have a lot of students that volunteer through the peer mentor program, etc. So if there is some connection, there tends to be a higher commitment to actually following through.
That's a great point, yeah.
Okay, any more discussion on that one? All right, what I'll do then is I'll put the paperwork in place to get council to make this happen, and we'll see where it goes. How's that? All right.
Just one last thing, Claire, quickly, as I'm thinking about it. Since we would have them come in for September, that gives us some time, and Shauna and Asia will meet a lot of students through the Orientation Head Start program. So if this occurs through the summer for any of the changes to allow them onto this committee, then we could easily have some of that information through that time, and students could express interest in it. So there may be a way we can get someone, but focusing, of course, even though the orientation is geared toward first year students, we do have a number of students from upper years who will participate, particularly when we get into looking at the various clubs and activities that happen on campus.
Okay. All right. Sounds like we might be able to make that all work. Any other thoughts, comments? Anything from BIHA?
We had a few things that we were hoping to bring forward. Obviously, COVID knocked that down last year, so we're just kind of waiting to see once we get to stage 3, once we can get to larger outdoor gatherings before we can really start putting anything into place. So now we're just hopefully waiting for vaccines to get in arms.
Yes, we all are. Okay, well, folks, we are very efficient today. And so thank you for your participation. Thank you for all the work that you do. And we will see you. Our next meeting is September 22nd, 10 o'clock in the morning. So have a great summer.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, thanks.
We'll see you soon.